You know, most people believe their financial life will magically improve one day. They think a raise will fix everything. They think a better job will solve the stress. They think the next opportunity will finally give them breathing room. But Benjamin Graham spent his entire life watching people with good salaries, sharp minds, and endless potential quietly destroy themselves financially, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they never understood what money actually demands from a human being. The first truth Graham understood is uncomfortable. Money doesn't reward intelligence, it rewards discipline. And discipline is something the modern world actively trains you to avoid. From the moment you wake up, you're being pushed towards spending. Advertisements don't sell products, they sell urgency. Social media doesn't show reality, it shows comparison. And your brain, shaped by thousands of years of survival instincts, is completely unprepared for this environment. It wants comfort now, approval now, pleasure now. That instinct once kept humans alive. Today, it keeps them financially fragile. Benjamin Graham lived through market crashes, depressions, wars, and booms. He watched people panic at the worst moments and celebrate at the most dangerous ones. Over and over again, he saw the same pattern. People didn't lose money because they were unlucky. They lost money because they couldn't control themselves when it mattered most. Here's what most people never realize. Before you ever talk about investing, returns, or strategy, there is one wall you must climb first. Not a financial wall, a psychological one. Until you cross it, everything else is irrelevant. That wall is capital. Without capital, you have no flexibility, no protection, no leverage. You are one unexpected expense away from chaos. One illness, one layoff, one economic slowdown. And when pressure hits, you don't make smart decisions, you make desperate ones. Graham understood this deeply. He didn't see money as a scorecard. He saw it as a margin of safety. A margin of safety is what allows rational thinking to survive during chaos. When you have savings, you can wait. When you have investments, you can choose. When you have capital, you are not forced to act at the worst possible moment. Most people never build this margin, not because they can't, but because everything around them punishes the behavior required to create it. Drive an old car while saving aggressively, and people look at you like you failed. Spend everything you earn on visible upgrades, and society applauds you. Your brain notices this. It craves approval. It fears exclusion. So you spend, even when you know better. This is not weakness. This is biology. Graham knew that human beings are not rational machines. They are emotional creatures pretending to be logical. That's why he focused less on predicting markets and more on protecting people from themselves. One of the most dangerous illusions in personal finance is the belief that knowledge alone will save you. It won't. You can read every book, watch every video, and still end up broke if your behavior doesn't change. Graham watched brilliant analysts ruin themselves because they couldn't tolerate boredom, humility, or patience. The early stage of building wealth is brutally unrewarding. You save, you invest, and nothing seems to happen. The numbers move slowly. Life throws expenses at you, and your brain starts whispering that it's pointless. This is where most people quit, not because the math doesn't work, but because progress feels insulting. Graham understood that compounding only looks powerful in hindsight. In real time, it looks boring. It looks fragile. It looks like effort without applause. And humans hate that. We are wired to respond to immediate feedback, not long-term probability. This is why people chase excitement instead of stability. They jump into trends. They gamble under the name of investing. They confuse activity with progress. Graham warned against this relentlessly. He believed the biggest risk wasn't market volatility. It was emotional volatility. When prices rise, people feel smart. When prices fall, they feel betrayed. But the market doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to patience and consistency over time. Graham didn't teach people how to predict the future. He taught them how to survive it. Here's the shift most people never make. Instead of asking, "How can I get rich?" Graham mentally asked, "How do people destroy themselves financially?" And once you see those patterns, avoiding them becomes far more powerful than chasing brilliance. People destroy themselves by living at the edge of their income. They destroy themselves by borrowing to impress. They destroy themselves by reacting emotionally to short-term noise. None of this requires low intelligence. It only requires being human without safeguards. The first stage of wealth is not growth, it's protection. Protecting yourself from bad decisions. Protecting yourself from pressure. Protecting yourself from your own impulses. Graham believed that until you master this, no investment strategy can save you. Capital gives you breathing room. Breathing room gives you clarity. And clarity allows rational decisions to compound over time. This is the foundation. Everything else comes later. Most people never reach this stage. They spend their entire lives trading time for money, hoping stability will eventually arrive. But stability is built, not granted. And it always begins quietly, without recognition, without validation, and without excitement. Benjamin Graham didn't promise wealth to those who were clever. He promised survival to those who were disciplined, and survival, compounded over decades, quietly becomes freedom. Benjamin Graham often said that the market is not a place where intelligence wins by default. It is a place where temperament decides everything. And temperament is revealed only when pressure arrives. Anyone can sound smart when prices are rising. Anyone can feel confident when nothing is at risk. But the real test comes when fear enters the room, when numbers turn red, when headlines scream collapse. That's when most people discover they were never investors. They were just optimistic spectators. Fear is expensive. It makes people sell what they should hold and hold what they should sell. It turns temporary losses into permanent damage. Graham watched this cycle repeat across generations. Different assets, same behavior. Different decades, same panic. People thought the future had changed, but human psychology never did. Your brain is built to avoid pain, not to build wealth. Loss feels roughly twice as powerful as gain. That imbalance quietly ruins financial lives. When investments fall, the emotional pain overwhelms logic. Selling feels like relief, but that relief comes at a terrible price. Once you sell out of fear, you rarely buy back at rational prices. Fear locks you out of the very recovery that patience was supposed to reward. This is why Graham insisted on something most people ignore. You must separate price from value. Price moves with emotion. Value moves with reality. The market can be pessimistic, euphoric, or irrational for long periods, but value always asserts itself eventually. The investor who understands this doesn't panic. The one who doesn't becomes fuel for those who do. Most people believe investing is about being right. Graham believed it was about not being wrong in fatal ways. One catastrophic mistake can erase decades of effort. One emotional decision at the wrong moment can undo a lifetime of discipline. Avoiding ruin matters more than chasing brilliance. This is where speculation destroys people. Speculation promises speed. It promises excitement. It promises escape from boredom. But it replaces probability with hope. Graham drew a clear line. Investing is disciplined, grounded, and patient. Speculation is emotional, narrative-driven, and addictive. Most people tell themselves they are investing while behaving like speculators. Speculation feels intelligent because it feels active. There is constant movement, constant opinions, constant justification. But activity is not progress. In fact, the more frequently you interfere with a sound plan, the more likely you are to sabotage it. Graham believed inactivity, when paired with good judgment, was often superior to constant decision-making. Another illusion Graham warned about is the comfort of consensus. Humans feel safer when they move with the crowd. It reduces anxiety. It provides social validation. But markets don't reward comfort. They reward courage at moments when courage feels uncomfortable, buying when others are fearful, holding when others are panicking. These actions feel wrong emotionally, which is precisely why they work financially. The crowd is not malicious. It is simply human. It reacts instead of thinks. It follows instead of evaluates. Graham knew that if you follow the majority, you will inherit the majority's results. Average at best, disastrous at worst. One of the most dangerous habits in personal finance is confusing income with wealth. High income creates confidence, but confidence without restraint becomes vulnerability. Graham saw doctors, lawyers, and executives earn impressive salaries and still live fragile financial lives. They mistook cash flow for security, but when income stops, reality arrives quickly. Wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep and grow. And growth demands time. Time demands patience. Patience demands emotional control. There is no shortcut around this sequence. Debt, in Graham's view, was not inherently evil, but it was extremely dangerous when combined with human emotion. Debt magnifies mistakes. It turns small misjudgments into life-altering consequences. When markets fall or income drops, debt removes your ability to wait. And waiting is the most powerful tool an investor has. A person without debt can survive volatility. A person with heavy debt becomes a forced seller. Forced selling is where wealth transfers from the impatient to the patient. Graham didn't moralize this. He simply observed it. Another trap Graham identified is the belief that complexity equals sophistication. People trust complicated strategies because they feel advanced. Simple strategies feel too obvious, too boring. But boring works. Complexity hides costs, mistakes, and incentives that rarely benefit the individual investor. The financial world profits from your confusion. The more uncertain you feel, the more likely you are to outsource decisions. Graham warned that many so-called experts are not aligned with your long-term interests. Their income depends on activity, not outcomes. Fees quietly compound against you year after year, eroding results while giving the illusion of professional care. Over long periods, small disadvantages become massive. A 1% annual drag doesn't feel dangerous, but over decades, it quietly steals a significant portion of your future. Graham understood compounding in both directions. Just as returns compound positively, costs compound destructively. Another uncomfortable truth is that most people overestimate their own discipline. They believe they will stay calm in a crisis. They believe they will buy when others are afraid. But belief without systems is fragile. Graham emphasized rules, margins of safety, and predefined behavior, not because people are stupid, but because emotions are predictable. When stress rises, reasoning declines. Under pressure, humans revert to instinct. That instinct once protected us from predators. Today, it convinces us to sell assets at the worst possible time. The solution is not confidence, it's structure. Automating good behavior, limiting decisions, removing temptation before it appears. Graham believed that financial success is less about brilliance and more about consistency. Repeating sensible actions over long periods produces extraordinary outcomes. The problem is that consistency is invisible. There is no applause for doing the right thing quietly year after year. Most people crave confirmation that they are winning. Investing rarely provides that in real time. Instead, it demands faith in arithmetic over emotion, faith in probability over stories, faith in patience over excitement. This is why Graham often appeared conservative, even dull, to those seeking fast results. But dullness was his strength. He optimized for survival first, growth second. Because without survival, growth is irrelevant. The market will test you, not once but repeatedly. It will tempt you with excitement and punish you with fear. It will reward patience slowly and punish impatience immediately. This asymmetry destroys most participants. They mistake emotional relief for progress and boredom for failure. Graham didn't promise an easy path. He promised a rational one, and rational paths are rarely crowded because they demand traits most people are unwilling to develop. The uncomfortable reality is that building real wealth feels lonely. You will feel behind while others appear ahead. You will doubt yourself during quiet periods. You will be questioned for not participating in trends. Graham accepted this solitude as the price of independence. Independence was always the goal. Not luxury, not status. Independence from forced decisions. Independence from panic. Independence from dependence on a single paycheck or a single market outcome. Once you understand this, investing stops being about numbers and starts being about behavior. The numbers are easy, the behavior is brutal. And this is where most people fail, not at the beginning, but in the middle, after some progress, after some success, when confidence rises and discipline relaxes. Graham saw this repeatedly. People would finally build a foundation, then abandon caution. They would confuse luck with skill, momentum with permanence. The market humbles everyone eventually. Those who survive are not the smartest, they are the most prepared. Graham believed that the real enemy of the investor is not ignorance, but overconfidence. Ignorance can be fixed. Overconfidence blinds. It convinces people that warnings no longer apply to them, that rules are optional, that this time is different. It never is. Benjamin Graham believed that the market eventually exposes everyone. Not immediately, not dramatically, but inevitably. It exposes weak discipline, inflated confidence, and unrealistic expectations. Time is the judge, and time is brutally honest. It rewards those who respect it and punishes those who try to outsmart it. One of the hardest lessons Graham learned and taught was that wealth is built quietly while attention is elsewhere. While people chase headlines, argue predictions, and react emotionally, the disciplined investor keeps doing the same simple things. Save consistently. Invest rationally. Avoid unnecessary risk. Wait. Waiting sounds passive, but it is one of the most active decisions a human can make. It requires resisting impulse, ignoring noise, and accepting discomfort without reacting to it. Most people fail here, not because waiting is complex, but because it feels unnatural. The modern world conditions you to expect instant feedback, instant delivery, instant entertainment, instant validation. Investing offers none of that. It demands delayed gratification in its purest form. Graham understood that this delay filters people out. Only those who can tolerate emotional silence stay long enough for the mathematics to work. This is why the early years feel so discouraging. You save, invest, and nothing seems to change. Your lifestyle doesn't improve. Your freedom doesn't arrive. Meanwhile, others appear to be enjoying life. But appearances are deceptive. Most visible success is financed. Most comfort is temporary. Most confidence is borrowed from future income. Graham warned that envy is one of the most destructive forces in finance. It doesn't just make you want what others have. It makes you abandon your own plan. And once you abandon your plan, you replace probability with emotion. That is where wealth quietly leaks away. A rational plan only works if you stick to it when it feels wrong. Markets will test this relentlessly. They will rise when you feel cautious and fall when you feel confident. They will make patience feel foolish and impulsiveness feel justified. Graham never tried to eliminate this tension. He accepted it as the cost of admission. Another truth Graham emphasized is that freedom does not arrive suddenly. There is no dramatic moment where money stops mattering. Instead, pressure slowly fades. Choices expand. Fear loosens its grip. The shift is subtle but profound. You stop reacting and start choosing. Capital changes your posture toward life. You negotiate differently. You tolerate less nonsense. You think longer term. You stop making decisions from fear. This is why Graham valued margin of safety above all else. Not just in investments, but in life. The tragedy is that most people never experience this shift. They remain trapped in short-term thinking, forever optimizing for the next paycheck, the next expense, the next emergency. They never escape survival mode. And survival mode is expensive. Graham understood that money amplifies character. If you are disciplined, money gives you options. If you are impulsive, money gives you bigger mistakes. This is why getting wealth before developing discipline often ends badly. The money doesn't fix behavior, it exposes it. This is also why Graham believed education alone was insufficient. You can understand every concept intellectually and still fail behaviorally. The real work happens internally, learning to sit still, learning to do nothing, learning to let time do the heavy lifting. Time is the only ingredient that cannot be rushed. You can save more, you can earn more, but you cannot accelerate compounding beyond its natural pace. Trying to do so usually ends in loss. Graham watched countless people destroy years of progress because they couldn't accept this limitation. The market does not reward urgency, it rewards endurance. There will be moments when you feel foolish for being conservative. When speculative assets soar and cautious strategies lag, these moments are dangerous. They tempt you to abandon principles that exist specifically to protect you during the next phase. Graham warned that success breeds complacency faster than failure breeds caution. Eventually, markets reverse. They always do, and when they do, the difference between preparation and hope becomes visible. Those with margin of safety endure. Those without it are forced to act at the worst possible time. Graham did not believe in predicting downturns. He believed in surviving them. Prediction creates confidence. Preparation creates resilience. Confidence can disappear overnight. Resilience compounds quietly. As years pass, something interesting happens. The same habits that once felt restrictive start to feel empowering. The same discipline that once felt lonely starts to feel liberating. You realize that you no longer need to impress anyone. You no longer need permission. You are no longer dependent on perfect conditions. This is the moment most people misunderstand. They think wealth changes desires. In reality, discipline changes perspective. Once you've experienced the security that comes from restraint, excess loses its appeal. You begin to value stability over excitement, optionality over status. Graham never glorified wealth. He respected it. He treated it as a tool, not a trophy, a buffer between you and uncertainty, a way to make rational decisions when others are forced into irrational ones. The irony is that this mindset often leads to more wealth than those who chase it directly. Because those who chase wealth usually chase emotion, excitement, validation, escape, and emotion is expensive. The final lesson Graham left behind is simple but uncomfortable. No one is coming to save you. There is no system designed to protect your financial future. There is no guarantee that effort will be rewarded. There is only probability responding to behavior over time. You don't win by being special. You win by being consistent. You win by avoiding catastrophic mistakes. You win by respecting math even when emotion protests. The first serious accumulation of capital is the hardest because it requires faith before evidence. You must act rationally long before results appear. Most people cannot tolerate that delay. They want proof first, but proof only arrives after discipline. Once you cross that threshold, the relationship changes. Progress accelerates. Confidence becomes grounded. Fear becomes manageable. You are no longer guessing, you are observing. This is the quiet power Graham spent his life explaining. Not loudly, not dramatically, but persistently. The world will always offer you reasons to spend, to panic, to rush, to compare. It will rarely encourage patience. That is your responsibility. And it is one of the few responsibilities that compounds. In the end, wealth is not about money. It is about control. Control over decisions, control over time, control over fear. Graham understood that money was simply the mechanism. So the question is not whether markets will rise or fall. They will do both. The question is whether you will behave rationally long enough for time to work in your favor. Most people won't. But if you do, quietly, patiently, consistently, the result will feel almost unfair to those who never understood the game. Not because you were lucky, not because you were smarter, but because you respected the rules when others ignored them. That is the real legacy of Benjamin Graham.